Have you heard of contracted rationalized trauma? So the idea is that somebody has a traumatic experience, like one of the parents is abusive or something terrible happens to them. Instead of healing it, they rationalize it. They put together a theory of the world. This happened to me because the world is unfair. This happened to me because society is terrible. This happened to me because these groups are fighting each other and I was caught in between because I'm part of a group and therefore people are targeting me. So that's rationalized trauma. Instead of accepting it, we rationalize it. Of course, the rationalization is there to create the anger and justify the anger. But then when it's contracted is when I create my rationalized trauma and I sell you the worldview and you integrate it. So it's like you contract a disease, you contract rationalized trauma, and then you start acting out my trauma because you've embraced my ideas. And you will see the worldview through my lens, even though my lens is simply me trying to rationalize my own personal experience. And instead of thinking, one or two crap people were around me, I start saying, well, it's everyone who shares this characteristic. All women are this way. All parents are this way. All men are this way. All women are this way. All insert any ethnicity, anything random, not important, but insert it there. All people like this are this way. And I observe when people do that, they're acting out a trauma that never happened to them. But often they rationalize it and they identify so much with the ideas that they become resistant to actually healing. Like
Wow.
even CBT doesn't work with them. You try to talk about it, but because they integrated the trauma, they've become resistant
Yeah.
to healing because then they lose their worldview and then they don't know who they are anymore.
Wow. So you're saying that they've really amalgamated their experience into their identity and they're not able to separate them.
Actually, not even their experience, somebody else's experience into their identity.
Wow. So it's even further away. Yeah. Wow. That's a powerful phenomenon.
Yeah, I see it when people identify themselves as being a something-ist. I am a, if it's not something like, I'm a Liverpool supporter or something a bit superficial, but when it talks about the worldview and world philosophy, and they start using, this is who I am, they're replacing their personality with a set of ideas.
Hmm.
Usually when they do that, the set of ideas are linked to trauma, but it's not their own trauma, it's somebody else's trauma that's been rationalized, organized as a worldview, as a system. And these people have integrated it and basically said, this is who I am now. So talking with them, that's when you talk with basically the flying monkeys. You talk with them, but you can't even agree on what reality is because they say that their worldview is entirely accurate. And if you disagree, you become dangerous, just as the Nazis did.
Wow.
Their worldview of, many, many Germans who were normally living their life all of a sudden say, yes, the reason why my life became terrible is because of this group. Yes, it's true, because this other person told me, and I believe it, and it makes sense. So now we have to destroy this group. It's the same process.
Yeah. Wow. And it seems quite hopeless you can't really do too much about that, meaning it's a very stuck kind of phenomenon. And I think that supports the notion of, as far as the narcissists and the flying monkeys are concerned, there is absolutely 0 point to try and, prove anything to them or to drive your point home or to try and get, to have your say because, the narcissistic group of flying monkeys and the narcissist himself are definitely living in this stuck world of, like you said, what was the name of this phenomenon again? The internalized trauma.
Contracted rationalized trauma.
That exactly that phenomenon.
Yeah.
You can't ration. You can't conversate. You can't get anything through to a person that is in this state. So obviously, I think like you're saying, the key point is to certainly not try to.